Hello everyone, I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Brandon.
Iron Man 3. We just saw it, midnight showing, and we're going to review it for you right now, non-spoiler review. Putting 6 minutes on the clock, and here we go. Brandon, the first thing I want to say is I thought it was great that I got to see a movie that was kind of a Christmas film that opened May 2nd. And it was snowing outside here. I lost my mind. I've never seen that. It snowed in Kansas here today, and we saw a movie that was set in Christmas time.
That was hard to believe. I wouldn't believe it if I hadn't seen it myself. And it's extremely hard to believe at Iron Man 3 in the morning. I'd just like to say.
So,
yes, it is Iron Man 3 in the morning.
So, Brandon, Iron Man 3. How does it compare? How does it compare to the first two? What kind of film was it overall? Were you happy with it? Give me a broad opinion. Go.
I was actually pretty happy with this film. I thought, compared to the other two, and I did just watch Iron Man 2 last week with Captain Logan.
Yes, indeed.
We watched that. I thought it was actually a more well-written film and even a better film than the first two.
I will agree with you to a point on that. I think it was absolutely a better executed film all the way around than 2. I will not call it a better movie than Iron Man 1. I'm not sure I'm even... Yeah, I like it better than 2. I'm gonna go there.
I definitely like it better than 2.
And I think that it is one of the most competently made superhero films I've ever seen. It was certainly one of the most thrilling.
Definitely.
The action in this movie is amazing. It is the polar opposite from a lot of the problems you and I had watching Iron Man 2, where it felt like you had a really anticlimactic, final battle, and the best fight was 30 minutes in. You don't have that in this movie, and I thought that the story for me was somewhat predictable, but the action was not.
This movie, I think this movie pushed in a lot of areas. I think it really tried to push the envelope on some things, and then, like you said, some things were predictable. There were a few things that you thought were predictable that I didn't see coming. That I probably...
Part of that's a comic book thing, though.
That's
I have to say that some of those things, being somewhat familiar, thanks Eric Holden, because they're brand code Eric, because there are certain things that I know from talking to Eric, and some things I've read. But I mean, like we've got Mandarin in this film, we've got AIM in this film, we've got they're doing extremis to a degree, although they pronounce it extremis in this film, which I've always heard it pronounced extremis. I was kind of surprised by that. I wonder if I was wrong. I guess I was.
I didn't notice, but I've always called it extremist.
Yeah, sure.
I don't think this movie really had any points where I felt that it was dragging.
I had that to a degree with a couple things.
Really?
It still had some improv comedy issues for me in some places, where I thought the pacing was a little bit uneven. Did not have anything like as much of a problem as I did with Iron Man 2, but I think more of it, more than just uneven pacing, it was more a little bit of uneven characterization. Not a big deal. I must say, there is a fantastic kid in this movie, and there is some stuff that Tony Stark does and says with that kid that I think goes a little too far. I think there's a bit of a stepping over a line that happens that I wasn't really buying that he would do, and also not enjoying as much as I think some of the rest of the audience was.
This is where I was saying that they were pushing it just a little bit, I felt. And you're right, they may have crossed the line, but to me, considering what else Tony was dealing with, what he was going through, I can see maybe him crossing that line. He didn't cross it too far. I didn't feel, but he did cross it a little bit.
I thought this was a weightier film than Iron Man 2. Tony Stark is dealing with some really heavy stuff, just like he is in 2. In 2, he's dying. In 3, he's dealing with the events of Avengers, and I don't feel like I'm giving away too much by saying that. I like how the events of Avengers factor into this movie, and I like that it's not too much much of a setup for more Avengers films. I like that it's dealing simply with the history of Tony Stark that we've had thus far,
exactly.
and really dealing with his character arc in Avengers in a way Avengers didn't have a chance to really deal with at the end. And I think that's great.
Exactly. Well,
and also some fun references. There's a Thor reference in here I like a lot.
There's good references.
Like
there's good references, but it doesn't just come out and say that it's referencing.
No, it doesn't. It's very smart about it.
In a subtle way.
Sure.
And being that you've seen Avengers, you'll understand and get that.
Yeah.
And I thought that was it was a great callback to the Avengers.
I think that thematically this movie does some really nice things. It's a movie about addiction. It's a movie about science, about being a scientist and the responsibilities that come with that, and the motivations of why people invent things that can become weaponized. And it's very much about that. These films have been about that. I think that this goes to a really great place with that. And I really appreciated that.
Well, it also deals with. If I can say this, it deals with mistakes made in the past.
Absolutely,
as well.
It does. Sure.
And even
on multiple levels with different characters.
Even the defining mistake and understanding and respecting that on many different levels.
I think this is okay. So 6 minutes wasn't nearly enough. I wanted to try that, but anyway, we're gonna be.
I think your clock actually went off some time ago. I heard it buzz.
No, I just now did. I watched it count down from 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But anyway, we'll be as brief as humanly possible. I don't want to give away too much with these films, and I want to. By the way, we're part of why we're doing this is because I want to start trying to do more new movie reviews if possible, and with more duo kinds of reviews. And see how much we can say in a small amount of time, and then do a more spoilery review later on in maybe a week or two. Anyway, I think that Gwyneth Paltrow has a fantastic performance in this movie. I think that she is not in enough of it. I felt the same thing about Rhodey.
And I would agree there, too.
I love the stuff he gets to do in the third act, which is funny, because I have some third act issues with this movie. I was sort of surprised by the sheer amount of 007 in this movie.
I don't follow.
There's a lot of, like, Tony having to be a spy but not having spy training stuff going on.
You're right, because I actually...
There's some major homages, and there's actually a major 007 homage in the credits that I don't want to spoil. But there's some stuff. They're definitely doing that.
Just... When you see the movie, stay till the end of the credits.
Of course, you always have to with a Marvel film.
Yes, absolutely. But
and I must say that with the after credit scene in this one, I do appreciate that it actually ties something together in the actual film. It's actually part of the film this time, which I really liked a lot. I have reservations about the villain plot. I will say that. I resist some things with the villain plot. I resist the people have already said who have reviewed this movie already that there is like a big twist. I resist some things about that, although I think that it plays. I think that the movie knows what it's doing, but it disappointed me. I will say that. I will go that far.
I will say that what you saw coming, or what you may have seen and read into in this movie and earlier on in the movie that I did not, like you said before, has to do some of your history and comic books and things of that nature, and I probably should have seen some things that I didn't see. No,
I mean, I'm not saying it was too predictable for a general audience.
Well,
necessarily.
No. Exactly.
I do think that there are places where there's more than one place where I found myself going, "That's really cool," and then something was immediately done that was revealed about a scene where I went, "Oh." Now it's not as cool.
I had the same reaction to the specific scene you're talking about.
We know where we're at. Absolutely.
Yeah.
The last thing I want to mention is just as a criticism is like I said, I have some third act issues. It's not the kind of movie that breaks down in the third act. I actually think that it's a much more cohesive film than Iron Man 2, and I think it's actually more cohesive than Iron Man 1. I like some of the plotting in 1 better, but I do think that this thing structurally really knows what it's doing. It's organized well.
Yes.
My third act issues are that I think, degenerates into too much of a standard standard superhero fare. There are some major tropes that I mean, it's a superhero movie. I don't have a problem that it has superhero tropes. I'm just saying that I think it got a little, again, predictable. It was just and this one, it had to do this and it had to do this, and there were a couple of things that the other two movies avoided that this one did. That are things that I have talked about on Rewind constantly, and some of them have to do with the relationship between the superhero and the love interest. That's all I'll say. But anyway, other praises and criticisms from you.
I can say that being of I would say, a differently natured critic than you, Captain Logan.
Sure, yeah.
Being that I don't have quite the history of in-depth analysis over a wide range of these types of films, I can suspend my disbelief in a different way and kind of enjoy the film on a different level than sometimes you are able to.
Oh, sure,
just because of that. So some of the problems that you might have with the movie, I was okay with, and I'll be honest. Sometimes I just go with the Hollywood, and I don't like that sometimes, but sometimes I'm just taken by it.
I greatly enjoyed this film. I thought it was thrilling. That's probably the big word for me.
It was very thrilling.
And what I thought was neat was the way that it integrated, and this is something that the other two movies did well to varying degrees. I thought this one nailed it. There were places where I was like really taken aback and in awe and worried for characters, and then there were other places where, like right afterwards, where I was laughing out loud. Importantly, I didn't feel like there were issues in tonal shift. I thought that was all balanced very well.
Well, there was one extremely predictable instance near the end of the film, and you mentioned it when we were sitting in the theater, and I was like, I'm totally right there with you, and it's not going to do that.
Yeah, there are a couple places where they try to surprise you, and I don't think most people will be surprised by them. So yeah, it's not a perfect film. It's also a good film. It's a solid film.
There are lots of surprises, at least for me.
Oh, sure,
there was plenty.
Most of the surprises for me were action things.
Yeah, that's right. But there were a few instances where you, Captain Logan, were actually on the edge of your seat.
Oh, I was, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Sure.
And then there was an instance where I was on the edge of my seat, and then something happened, and like moments after I got on the edge of my seat, and all of a sudden I was back in my seat. And there was lots of good, there was some just okay stuff, but for me, like, the good outweighs any of the just okay stuff in my book. I did really enjoy this movie.
I think it's really solid. I think it's definitely worthy of all of the other really good Marvel films. I think it's right on par with the most solid of them. I think it's right in the middle for me. With all those, you know. I mean, like, yeah, I could rank them or whatever. I'm not going to do that, but it's kind of right in the middle for me. Anything else needs to be said?
I don't think so. I think we covered
a couple of cool actors I didn't expect to see. There is I wanted to mention this real quick. There's a president in this film, and I was surprised by that. He's, by the way, played by the guy who played Detective Sloan in Deep Space Nine, who ran Section 31. I was really surprised to see him. I thought that was really cool. Just for Star Trek fans, I was like, that's neat. But there's an Obama reference in Iron Man 2, and so that just kept taking me out a little bit. I was like, really, that's bizarre. So what? Like, did he like not make a second term in this universe? I really hope that the Marvel movies remember who's president, and we don't have different presidents in different movies. Stuff like that.
An interesting.
That was kind of an issue that X2 and X3 had. Oh, another thing I want to throw out real quick too is I appreciated the fact that War Machine is actually called War Machine in this movie, and
yes, that there was a kind of actually a funny scene regarding.
Oh yeah, it's
regarding great. War Machine and how the name they use the Patriot name, and they try to get back to the War Machine name.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, that was a nice play.
So I'm definitely recommending the film.
Absolutely. I would recommend this film as well.
Well, everybody, thanks a lot for watching. Really appreciate it, and we'll see you again soon. And like I said, I will probably come on with a spoiler podcast with another co-host here in the next week or two. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Brandon.
And we'll see you later.